so the original idea was, we didn't really want to start a website. I was kind of into blogging at the time. So I had my own personal blog and I blogged for the company. And I did a bit of writing on the side for Japan Inc., which was a magazine many years ago. And so I got together with my friend Chris Kirkland. We were actually in an izakaya at the time. It was like...
that's where all good ideas start.
Yeah. So it was one of those really cheap izakayas. So like, you can get 270 yen beers or something. And we were kind of discussing how there's a report called the Mercer Report, which is about the cost of living in various cities around the world. And at the time, Tokyo was number one. It was the most expensive city in the world. And, from our experience, like, finding these kind of cheap and reasonable places to go in Tokyo, we thought that's not true, There's a way to kind of experience Tokyo without, it's a bit of a cliche, but without burning a hole in your wallet.
Yeah, like with a 270 yen beer, for example.
Yeah, exactly. There's even 100 yen beers, I think even still. So
in some places.
Yeah. You might get you might get a bit sick, but
you don't know what you're drinking. You don't know if this is really beer, but it's
it's they still exist. It's kind of a gimmick, but.
So the Mercer report came out, and Tokyo was the most expensive city in the world, and you were like, well, that's not true. So you thought we will show the world that it's not true and that there are many alternatives.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the way they kind of they put those reports together is they have a basket of goods. It's like 1 kilogram of cheese and a loaf of bread and all these kind of very Western things. So if you bring a Western lifestyle to Japan, it's extremely expensive. But if you adapt to the local way of doing things and you kind of dive into that local culture, then it's a lot more affordable and it's a lot more interesting, I think.
We see it here too in Osaka, and even recently, I think 2 years ago, I don't know if it was a Mercer report, but another report was ranking Osaka as one of the top 5 most expensive cities in the world. I'm like, wait a second, my friend living in Paris right now, he's paying 3 times my rent. Yeah. How can they say that Osaka is the most expensive? Now, I know they also take into consideration like earning and salaries, which in Japan arguably are lower than countries or cities like London, Paris, New York. But so you had a core concept from that idea and this kind of report that you didn't agree with. What was it like once you got the website live and the first few things? How did you imagine the business model?
We didn't really have a business model. We kind of thought there's a niche here. Like at the time, there were a lot of kind of legacy publications in Tokyo. So places like Metropolis and Time Out.
Which are still...
they're still around. They haven't gone away. But at the time, even now, they're positioning themselves as kind of lifestyle places, like where to have a champagne brunch in Ginza and stuff like that. So a lot of it wasn't really relevant to people's everyday lives. So what we wanted to do is like fill that niche and have how-to guides on how to do everything. So we just started writing and it got kind of instant traction.
Wow.
So there's a few factors that helped. The timing was good. There was no one else doing what we did. There was the beginning of the kind of the tourism boom that we didn't really anticipate. The 2011 earthquake, and then the next year, basically the boom started. So that's right when we started Tokyo Cheapo.
So really good timing.
Yeah, it was really good timing. And another thing was just like the platforms at the time. So Facebook. So famously at that time, every business was trying to get on Facebook. So you could produce content and you'd get an instant audience.
Yes.
So, I'd post a picture about a cheap cafe with like, a 200 yen lunch or something, and I'd get, we'd get 100 likes and lots of comments. Eventually, as everyone knows, they turned that kind of traffic off. But at the time, it was great for building that audience.
Yeah, it really changed over the years, the use of social media.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get into that a little bit later,
Sure,
how you developed this.
Yeah.
But what kind of challenges did you face once you started posting this content? You got initial traction, but what were the reactions like from people reading or people commenting?
Well, it's interesting, the reaction from people reading and the reaction from like the people we were writing about and the businesses was quite different. So I think people instantly got the kind of the concept of what we're about. So, you know, a brand called Tokyo Cheapo, it's very opinionated. You know, it's not like Tokyo cool things to do. It's we come at things from a certain angle. So I think people immediately knew what we were about. And on the other side, you know, like if we were talking to a business and we said, you know, can we write about you with Tokyo Cheapo? They would go, but you know, we're not cheap. We don't want to be, you know, associated
they don't want
with
that association.
Yeah, they want that. They don't want that association. So there was a bit of a resistance initially, but eventually we just got so much scale that even with our brand, like we could go to anywhere in Tokyo and, you know, like even high-end places. And because we have that reach, we know that there are audiences also looking at our website, even if, you know, it's not the perfect brand match. But let's see. So apart from that kind of challenge, I guess with the other challenge was just kind of growing, you know, because we're bootstrapping it. We didn't have any funding or anything, so it was a lot of sweat equity. So, you know. I was probably working like 16-hour days or something because I had a full-time job, and then I'd be, you know, writing on the website, and I'd be, you know, going to different places. So
so you were still working kind of employed and started this on the side.
Yeah, it didn't turn into a full-time job until 2016.
So that was 4 years after launching it.
Yeah, and I think a mistake a lot of places, well, a lot of publications or businesses make is they hire themselves first, whereas what we did is even when I was working full-time and I was doing this extra time, we were paying writers and we were paying editors and stuff, so before we paid ourselves. So
you kind of took the other way to first scale it, and then once it's stable, you kind of, okay, now I can leave my full-time job.
Exactly.
What was the moment for you on this Tokyo Cheapo journey that you realized, okay, this is something that is going to be or can be a full-time thing and turn really into an established publication?
It was probably when, you know, there were certain articles that we released and they got a lot of traction and, you know, a lot of people talking. So an early one was we kind of did these kind of concept articles. So we did a 10,000 yen 3 nights, or was it? No, 2 nights, 3 days tour of Tokyo. So we planned out a whole itinerary, which was all your meals, your accommodation, your entertainment, everything, you know, even like transport from the airport for 10,000 yen. So it was extreme.
That's,
you know.
10. I mean, I'm just trying to think, if you arrive from Narita, maybe not possible, but from Haneda.
It was easier from Haneda, yeah.
So everything 3 nights, 2 days, including the trip from the airport for 10,000 yen. 10,000
yen. So even with, you know, going to a bar and having a beer and, I mean, you know, there's a few compromises, but
you can't do everything.
No, you can't do everything, and you know, accommodation was in a manga kisa.
Okay.
So,
but that article kind of went viral a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely went viral. So, you know, people were, and people were kind of talking about the Mercer report at the same time. It's like, you know, the Mercer report came out, and you know, it's the most expensive city, and these guys have made a 10,000 yen itinerary.
And that kind of led into you believing, okay, this can become bigger and we can kind of partner with. Yeah.
And I think it was apparent that we'd filled the niche, and you know, there were people coming back, and there was a regular readership. And I think also we started to develop more of the inbound content. So initially it was more for residents of Tokyo, but eventually it kind of morphed into more of an inbound publication aimed at tourists.